This is the North Shore Community Association's podcast, February 19th, 2021. Hello again, this is Max Cote, the NSCA Development Agent.
And this is Annie Lafrenière, the NSCA Programs and Communications Coordinator.
Today we'll present some activities and events happening during the next 2 weeks. But first we have a great interview of a community member. We have a great interview today of a community member on the NSCA podcast. The objective of these interviews is to showcase community involvement, services to the English-speaking community, and their professions or careers. Brian Coss is a resident of Baekomo and is a Oceans and Fisheries officer. Hello, Brian. Happy to see you could join us today.
Hello, Maxim. It's a real pleasure to be here today.
First, can you state your full name, where you're from, where you currently live, and your career and job title?
My name is Brian Coss. I'm a federal fishery officer and I work for the Department of Fisheries and Oceans Canada in Baekomo, Quebec. And I'm from a town called Sainte-Foy in Quebec City.
I'd like for you to share with us how you chose to become a fishery officer and where you went to school, starting from your high school experience, then CJAP or university, and your oceans and fisheries training.
When I was a young boy, I would say at the age of approximately 8 to 10 years old, I used to live in a town called Newmarket in Ontario. And then my next door neighbor used to come home every day with his work car. And he was a provincial conservation officer. And his car, I still remember it like it was yesterday, was a green and white car. And this was over 30 years ago with a big red round light on top. And I was so fascinated by this vehicle. So one day I went to my neighbor and I asked him, I said, Mr. Bose, what do you do for work? And he said, Brian, I work as a provincial conservation officer. And from that day on, I knew what I wanted to do later on was to protect resources and to do law enforcement. So he was my model when I was young. So when I went to school, I always kept that dream in mind. And when I went to high school in Quebec City, St. Patrick's High School, and Katsumavik High School. And a funny thing is that I had difficulty in school. I had what they call now attention deficit disorder, and back then it wasn't known. So I had a little bit more difficulty in school compared to my classmates. And today we understand that, but back then we didn't know. So I had to work very, very hard to just get my passing grades. And I've always wanted to be a conservation officer, so I kept that goal in mind. And then when I was done my high school, I was very proud to get my high school diploma at St. Patrick's High School in Quebec City. And upon completion of my high school, I enrolled in college in Ontario. It's a college called Sir Sandford Fleming College, which is situated in Lindsay, Ontario. And they specialize in natural resources careers. So I enrolled in a 3-year program. I started out in forestry, which was 2 years. And the last year was to do natural resources law enforcement. And I completed both the 3 programs in a period of 3 years. And once that program was finished, I saw a job opportunity that was called Fisheries and Oceans Canada, a fishery officer. I did not know what a fishery officer was because I knew what a conservation officer was. So I studied and I looked into this career. And basically what a fishery officer does, he protects all of the marine resources in our Canadian oceans from coast to coast to coast. So this interested me. I applied and I was selected and I was very proud of that. And I've been doing that job now for the past 26 years now.
Can you briefly describe what a fishery officer's work entails, a little bit of the mechanics of it?
The job of a fishery officer is very, very rewarding. I would say that anybody who likes to work outside, whether it's to do four-wheeling, snowmobiling, plane patrols, boat patrols, car and pickup patrols. It's the best job on earth. A typical day? Well, there's no typical day. I could start off my day in the morning going to save a stranded whale. I could start off my day going to verify commercial fishermen who come on the docks. And I could also start my day by investigating a complaint from the public. So there's no typical day, and that's what makes the job so interesting and so fun. But I will give an example of a day. So for example, I will leave in the morning with a partner, because we usually work 2 fishery officers. We'll go verify the commercial fishermen who come and unload their fish at different docks. And we're going to verify if he has his licenses with him or her, if they have the proper fish on board, if they have the proper fishing gear, and if they have the proper fish. And sometimes we'll even measure the fish to make sure that it's legal size, because our goal is to conserve the resources. Another day may be to go out in the winter and do a snowmobile patrol for the ice fishery in the Saguenay River and go verify fishermen who fish in salt water. And we also verify for habitat cases to make sure that companies and people, when they work around water, they respect the laws in place to preserve our habitats.
Speaking English has been very useful to you, I would imagine, and I would like to ask you how important the English language is in your work environment here on the North Shore.
English was very important for me and still is today. I regularly meet fishermen and people from the public who only speak in English. You may not be aware of this, but most of our fishermen are originally from Newfoundland who immigrated to Quebec or who moved to Quebec. So back then, a lot of them did not have opportunities like we do today and did not have school because they had to work when they were very young. So a lot of them could not learn to speak French. So a lot of them, even today, the fishermen only speak English, and therefore it is very useful for me to be able to speak with them in the English language. And also it gives so many opportunities for the job. Being in English, I can go work in northern Quebec with the Inuits who speak mainly English. I can go work and help other fishery officers in other provinces as well who may need our help. So English has been very, very useful and still is today. And I really encourage the students who would like to fulfill a career as a fishery officer to learn as much English and French as possible.
What other advice would you give to our young listeners if they're interested in this specific field of work?
The advice I would give you is that it's very important to continue to have and follow your dreams and passions. Never lose focus of what you want to do. So to become a fishery officer, I never lost focus, and I verified what schools would be good for me, and I applied to those schools. Another piece of advice I would give people is if they can get a summer job that relates to law enforcement, I would also encourage that. So there are many provincial parks, national parks, and provincial controlled areas for hunting and fishing that hire summer students to protect those areas. So I would very much encourage the students to get a summer job related to that, and that will help them when they apply to become a federal fishery officer.
Well, I'd like to thank you, Mr. Coss, for your contribution to our broadcast today.
Thank you very much for having me, and I wish wonderful success to all the students who would like to pursue a career in natural resources law enforcement.
And now we present community events and activities.
The Baekomo Family Week activities have been announced this week. The activities run from the 27th of February to the 7th of March. Registration for some limited space activities open on the 22nd of February. More than 30 outside and virtual activities are planned and animated by municipality or partnering organizations. Manicouagan en Mouvement, Manicouagan en Mouvement, is presenting a workshop to promote winter outdoor activities. Several rallies are planned in the town's pedestrian trails. Free activities will be presented by Attitude Nordique. There will be culinary activities presented. Virtual escape games are offered. Other contests and challenges are to be offered as well. The details of the dates and times of these activities can be consulted on the Ville de Baekomo's website and have been published in the local newspaper Le Manic this past Wednesday, February 17th.
You're all out of ideas of games to play with your children? Come and borrow our social skills kit for the Semaine de Relâche. This kit is full of games centering on emotions recognition and self-regulation. It helps children recognize emotions in themselves and others and can serve as a great conversation starters between you and your children. The kit has games for all ages from 0 to 8 years old. We have a kit in our Baekomo and sept-îles office. Contact us for more information to come and pick it up.
Eastern Shore School Board is offering a webinar for elementary level parents and teaching staff. This webinar is part of a project aiming at improving school retention by decreasing sex role stereotyping. Indeed, studies have shown that youth endorsing in gender stereotypes the most are also the ones dropping out of the school the most. Therefore, teachers and school staff must be able to see how gender stereotypes affect their students' learning and school retention, and be skilled to take action in a way that helps students deconstruct and question those stereotypes. The webinar will take place on Tuesday, February 23rd from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. We will explore together the links between academic perseverance and gender stereotypes and what research has to say about it. Registration is mandatory. Please go to Eastern Shore School Board Facebook page to click on the link to register.
A quick reminder that Baekomo High School is on their last stretch of their used batteries collection. They are currently holding 7th place provincially. It is a perfect time to change those batteries in smoke detectors, remote control, and wireless devices. Help out BCHS in this great ecological contest. To send your batteries to BCHS, call Richard Gaudet at 418-296-1547 for the procedure to drop them off.
The port-cartier and sept-îles Book Club meet once a month on a Saturday at 11 a.m. The next book they are going to read is The Book of Lost Names by Kristin Harmel. Eva Trobe Abrams, a semi-retired librarian in Florida, is shelving books one morning when her eyes lock on a photograph in a magazine lying open nearby. She freezes. It's an image of a book she hasn't seen in 65 years, a book she recognizes as The Book of Lost Names. An engaging and evocative novel reminiscent of The Lost Girls of Paris and The Alice Network. The Book of Lost Names is a testament to the resilience of the human spirit and the power of bravery and love in the face of evil. If you'd like to join the port-cartier and sept-îles Book Club that meets via Zoom, send Chantal Gilbert of the NSCA an email at c.gilbert@quebecnorthshore.org, and we'll arrange a link for you to attend.
Knowing what to expect as our children grow and develop can help us better guide them and seek help if needed. Participate in an interactive evening session with Kristin Finlay, speech-language pathologist, that will leave you feeling reassured. We will explore language and communication skills development from birth, when to seek help if a child isn't developing at the same rhythm as other children, what can be done at home to support the development